If you weren't stalking the Ask Jesse thread on the Fwoosh back in the day, trying to pump Jesse Falcon for information about what might be coming next, like then you're not a part of this hobby. No, I'm just kidding. Speculation and like pushing for info we shouldn't have yet is like half the fun of collecting Marvel Legends.
I'm the Uncanny Dayspring,
I'm the adjectiveless Flinkman.
and we are here today to discuss some, I want to say leaked, but as always, these are rumors. Take them with a grain of salt, but leak slash rumored list of upcoming Marvel Legends.
You and I talking about Marvel Legends, this is unheard of. This is such a rare rare opportunity for our listeners.
And we've only been like toy hunting together, like what, twice, three times?
Yeah, I mean, the most memorable time of which is, of course, when I oh so generously let you have the Black Queen Jean Grey at the Times Square TRU in 2007, and you still owe me for that. Like that was a very heartless thing that I did for you and Jeff.
I mean, listen, we walked into the True in Times Square. I went to where those Marvel Legends typically are, and she wasn't there. And of course, because it's New York, I'm like, oh, someone else got her. They clear stock, whatever. And you found her in the bins by the register, right?
Yeah, like what was she? I mean, Jean always belongs in the bin,
Well,
but
okay, but this is why I graciously accepted the figure because A, you hate Jean Grey, and two, you looked at me and you said, "Oh my God, yes, you're not a fan of our God Queen Jean Grey."
like I've said, I'm neutral on the subject these days, okay? I'm neutral.
But you looked at me after you gave her, or right before you gave her, and you said, "I'll find her back home. It's not going to be an issue." And man, you know what? You were right because I never found her again in the wild, and she was a
At
peg
least
warmer
10
for you.
times.
Do I remember that? Was she a peg
Yeah,
warmer for you? Yeah.
she was her and the Diamond Emma were both peg warmers down here. So I could have got I think I actually have two of those jeans because I think I put, yeah, I do because one I put in the display as Black Queen Jean and then with the cape, and then the other I took the cape off and put the movie Rogue, the second one, where she was in the X-Men suit and she came with like a black leather
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The black
jacket.
leather
I put that on
costume.
her and had her be Maddie. So,
Oh,
you know, I, I,
wow,
I,
that is a
I
kit bash right there.
right. Like I was desperate for Maddie at the time. So, you know, I would use a subpar character to sub in as Maddie. I was so desperate.
That diamond Toys R Us exclusive Emma, I feel, was the superior of the Emmas. And two, I had her on my display and I wasn't too upset about her for a while. I don't know why she was a peg warmer.
Well, I think they probably just overestimated interest. Like, no offense to Emma, but I
Yeah.
think they overestimated interest in
Mm-hmm.
in Emma Frost at the time. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
was that was 2008, 2009. She hadn't yet shown up in First Class. Like, you really were only aware of, you know, she wasn't in Fortnite. You really would
Doing
only
the
see
Hellfire dance.
it's amazing. It almost makes me want to, I've said it many times. I'm not a gamer. I don't play video games, but like
It, it's a
being able to
journey
play
to
as
unlock her.
Emma.
It's a
Oh,
journey
well
to
then.
unlock her. So I know for a fact you wouldn't. But we live in a world where we have a Fortnite, Emma Frost doing the Hellfire dance. And then, obviously it's reminiscent of the X-Men Legends,
Yep.
Emma, where she
Yep.
dances when you select her. But has she ever really danced in the comics? No,
No,
she's not a dancer in the
she's not a
comics. Like
dancer.
she's
Yep.
not. I'm not saying she doesn't go out to the club and not dance, but like
Yeah.
she's not known for these
No.
moves in the comics.
Yeah, it's strange that they keep making her dance. It's fine. Everybody needs to let loose every now and then, especially the amazing headmistress of, the Xavier Institute or whatever her fucking role is these days. I don't know. But yeah, no, it almost If there was like an up, down, left, right cheat code to unlock Emma, I would probably play.
You could
But
probably pay for it. You could pay to level up and then unlock her. But I mean, I don't know.
you know I
You're
wouldn't enjoy it
Yeah,
anyway.
you're
So
gonna waste like $50 or whatever, however much it is, just to unlock her, and then I guarantee you'll play one afternoon and then you'll be done.
I'll get stuck in a corner like I did in Ultimate Alliance.
I I think about you not finishing Ultimate Alliance so much because you stopped at the Shi'ar with the timer saving Lalandra.
Yeah, I literally got lost in a corner of the Shi'ar ship, never found my way out of it, and was like, fuck this, I don't need this. But I did, what is the most recent one? Ultimate Alliance 3? Yeah.
Yeah,
My husband Kenny is a bit of a gamer.
yeah.
He's probably in the other room playing video games right now since I banished him from the living room to record this. But we played Ultimate Alliance 3 together, and through his help, we actually beat the game.
Well,
I don't think we unlocked all of the X-Men
no,
because
there.
those side missions were too hard.
I think Fortnite is really good for people who are not like diehard gamers because it doesn't demand much of you. It's basically like Hunger Games. But I can't wait to get Emma in it. Like I am dying for that.
I will say her look is pretty great. I think I like it better than what she's going to be wearing in Exceptional X-Men coming up. It's nice. I like it. I like it a lot.
Someone sent me an NGL being like, whoever approved the design for Emma needs to be fired from their job. And I was like, and someone else also sent me another. This is the kind of NGLs that come in. Someone also told me your love for Famke is overrated. She was a mediocre actor at best, as she really brought down all of her scenes in the X-Men. I was
Wow.
like, whoa. Like I'm used to people not really vibing with Jean, but to come after Famke, I
Not
can't.
Queen Famke.
No,
Listen.
no,
The gays
no.
have loved Famke
It's Her
since.
Majesty Famke Johnson.
Pardon me, Her Majesty Famke has been a gay icon since Xenia Onatop in GoldenEye,
Yes.
when all the gays played as Famke before she was even Jean Grey. So, like, listen, I might not be the biggest Jean Grey fan in the world, but I will fight for Famke's honor.
So speaking of Famke, we are here to discuss some rumored upcoming. Do you like how I transitioned there?
Yeah, oh, good,
Rumored
good, good. It's like you've done this
Marvel
before.
Marvel Legends, and so here's the thing: we have one set that I feel it's all but confirmed, and we have another set that is rumored. I'm sure people have already spoken about it, but when we did, you weren't on this episode, but when we did the last rumored Marvel Legends list, I didn't put them in there. So, whatever the state of this list is, again, take it with a grain of salt,
Yeah,
familia. This is just us enjoying talking about legends because this is a beauty part of the hobby. I've talked about this endlessly
yeah.
before. If you're going to be a Marvel Legends collector, part of that is going on the Foosh and speculating what figures are coming down the pipeline, which figures you want. I mean, this is part of the ecosystem that comes with being a Marvel Legends stan. And there's always a list out there. There's always a rumor, but we're giving credit to, or not credit, we're giving attention to the ones that are a little bit more dominant out there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I mean, listen, if you weren't stalking the Ask Jesse thread on the Fwoosh back in the day, trying to pump Jesse Falcon for information about what might be coming next, like, you're not a part of this hobby. No, I'm just kidding. Speculation and like pushing for info we shouldn't have yet is like half the fun of collecting Marvel Legends.
We lived in an age on the Foosh and Marvel Legends where Jesse Falcon would personally respond to the trolls who were calling that Series 11 Scarlet Witch Nicole Richie and talking about what happened in the factory in China or wherever these Marvel Legends were produced back then and how the figure ended up like that. And it was a production error. She wasn't supposed to go out, and now she's out there, but they had tried to halt production on it. That was the age of Marvel Legends we
Yeah.
lived in.
That Wanda figure was certainly controversial for spending a little too much on her when we thought that she was not going to come out, which again, like we said in our last episode, like the price that you paid for that figure is like not an exorbitant
Wait,
amount in
you
today's
came at me
collecting.
for that. Do not erase history. Ultimate Phoenix, Phoenix with a goatee, came at me for it. because I paid $110 for
Okay.
her. Yeah.
That's more than I thought. I thought it was
It's
more like 80. Okay, yeah,
no,
that's a crazy price.
no,
But no,
Dark Phoenix was 75, 80, but Wanda was 110. I
I
remember
mean,
that because it was, again, it's not so outrageous now, but in 2006, that was a
yeah.
big price. And we didn't think she was coming out. Jesse Falcon had said, we're not putting this figure in because of the production error.
Yeah, and I mean, probably should have, policed that a little bit harder. But actually, that's one of the figures I actually remember. I've bought so many action figures over the course of, the last 24 years. Well, and no,
Mm-hmm.
in the course of my life, but so many Marvel Legends over the 22 years over the course of that time. And I do remember when I found that Wanda. I mean, it's not as good as my twink flink drunkenly finding a chase case. Look at me rhyming. I'm just a rhymer today. But I did find her. I was with Mary in her little college town, and I
Oh,
found I found that Wanda at her Walmart. Probably quite late at night, and probably in a state. So it's a beloved memory.
I to wrap the Wanda conversation, but I would remiss not to say this. We went to our local True in Miami, and I was with my little brother, and he was like 10 at the
Oh
time.
my
And
God.
we went to the action fair. I know, right? Now he's 30. That is how long we have been collecting legends. But anyways, my brother was 10 at the time. We went into the toy aisle and they had just put out the cases, and there were so many Wandas there. I literally grabbed all of them
Of
and I
course you
put them
did.
because again there were 7.99. So I must have gotten like 10 of those Wandas that were out there. I'm exaggerating. It was more like 6. But go to the register, and when we go back to Tallahassee for college and X3 is coming out, we wanted one of the vinyl Famke Phoenix posters of her like
Oh
this.
yeah, yeah.
And so we put in our offer, but we DM'd the guy and we're like, listen, we have one of the unreleased Scarlet Witches. So if you accept our offer, we will also mail you this Wanda figure. That is how we obtained that X3 Jean Grey poster. This is the roots with Wanda.
Wow,
That
wow.
Wanda with Nicole Richie Wanda. That
Oh
is
my God.
anyways.
And you
Okay.
hung those posters were hanging over your bed, I think, the first
Yeah.
two times I came to visit you.
Came
God
into my
Queen
bedroom.
Famke.
Came into my bedroom, did you?
I mean, glanced in there.
We had Angel over the bed. Angel, it was
Oh,
Angel.
okay,
It
okay.
was it was Ben Foster Angel, which his pose was like this.
Yeah, he
Like
was,
Jesus.
you know.
Okay, listen. We're gonna discuss again rumored slash leaked Marvel Legends list. We'll explain the leak part, as we discuss. But again, these are essentially rumors. Take them with a grain of salt. I don't want to be responsible if this list doesn't come true. Do not come at us in comments. These are just it's what's out there. We're just going to be discussing it. And again, I think we're giving it attention because these two come, at us. There's some
Yeah.
sources that we're going to discuss. But the first half that we're going to talk about is an X-Men 97 Wave 3, which one of the actors, we're going to be vague here, one of the actors was on a podcast that you and I both listened to.
Yep.
The actor accidentally, I don't want to say accidentally, I don't think knew not to discuss these upcoming figures. It was a couple months ago because it takes me a minute to catch up on podcasts. I listened to it and I was like, and I DM'd you. I was like, I don't think like this is not public. Were these characters public? And you were
Nope.
like, nope. So, we're happy. I don't want to name the podcast. I don't want to name the actor. I don't want anyone to get in trouble, but there is an episode out there with an interview, and this actor casually mentions these 3 figures.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's not too so they're figures that you would honestly have expected in an X-Men 97 Wave 3.
Yeah, it's not going to break the internet if this gets out there because people are like, yeah. Well, why don't we start with the first character? And the first character that was revealed on this podcast or discussed on this podcast was Morph. Morph.
I have a Kit Bash X-Men 97 morph with the AOA head on the cell shaded body. I imagine that the figure that we are going to wind up getting is going to be is probably going to be that body with maybe a different all white morph face, but I'm excited. I don't love cell shading. So to get a non-cell shaded morph will be great. And honestly, like Morph is probably my favorite character on X-Men 97.
I
So
didn't know that they were your favorite character.
yeah, no, they are. I think it's just the excitement of Morph being a part of the team. They aren't someone who, is part of the team in the comics. So it's kind of just like a really cool, exclusive X-Men 97 thing to have this character, hang with the big boys. So I really enjoy JP's performance. I
Yeah.
think they do a really great job. So yeah, no, I mean, my favorite character from X-Men 97 could change
Yeah, I mean, it
change
changes.
day to
Like,
day.
I mean, we talked about this when we were covering the Krakoan Age. I was like, I love Doug Ramsey, and then the next day, I love Fabian. So it changes because that's some of the beauty of also being an X Men fan. But what I loved about JP's performance in X Men '97 was because when we got that rebooted Morphin Age of Apocalypse, Scott Lobdell was mentioning that the reason why he's like that, why he has this like white face and all that stuff, is because his trauma has been so severe that he's all that's left is like a rubbed out pencil.
Yeah.
And I think JP brought that trauma the character experienced in previous seasons and really respected that iteration of Morph
Yeah.
because we pivoted from Morph with the black hair to the Age of Apocalypse with like the blank white skull face. So I think JP did a great job. I hope we get more of them next season, a little bit more
Yeah.
substantial plot. So I agree with you. And Morph is actually a character that so many of us loved back in the day in Toy Biz because we got that original Toy Biz
Yes.
figure. What was one of the defining things about that figure, though? Because I'm going to ask you this question next.
I mean the swappable heads, of course. Of course, you
So,
had the
do
the
we think we're
hero,
going
the
to get? Yeah,
villain,
yeah.
Wolverine, and Cyclops.
Do you think we are going to get swappable heads with this morph?
We got them with the VHS series. We got the hero and the villain heads. So
I'm like, I completely forgot that that figure had swappable heads. You're
yeah.
right.
So I think mm, probably I would be curious to know what those heads might be. Just because, Morph is non-binary now, or has always probably been. But takes the white face to sort of be a blank, to be blank. So
Canvas.
like
Yeah.
I a blank canvas to be whoever they want to be.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure if it would be necessarily a not it's not that it would be inappropriate, but I don't know if they would want to include the male presenting heads with a non-binary character. But again, not everybody, me included, loves the cell shaded, and some folks might want an X-Men 92 morph. So I could see them repurposing the two 92 style heads that they included with the cell shaded figure.
I agree with you. I think we're gonna get the 92 head and maybe the disheveled, angry, morph as well. So we'll get those two heads as well. And thinking of a third head, I thought this would be a great opportunity because they were such a cameo queen in the
Yeah.
series. Like throw in a magic head, a spiral head, an archangel head, or something. It is an interesting. Will they do a male presenting head or not? I don't know. I think it doesn't matter either way. I think folks would be really happy if they got an Ileana head, for example, because then you can put her on the New Mutants body. If they got an Archangel head, then it's just a bonus Archangel head we have out there. A Spiral head, something you can swap out. Like, would they do it like in the way that they did the Lalandra head for Mystique, the
Yeah.
Walgreens, and just give us a head for that can go on another figure? And if you want to put it on the more figure, that's great. If you don't, you can put it on, you know, the silver sable body, and then you have
Oh
the
my God.
laundry. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that's what their approach would be, and I wouldn't give it too much thought. But the Hasbro team really does think about things like
Yeah.
this.
And you make a good point. Like the magic head that we have now has her little hokey crown thing coming out of it. So it might be a good idea for them to do a standard magic head to put on the standard New Mutants body. That's a very good point.
I mean, listen, I'm not always a dumb bitch.
Just most of the time. Just
Just
most of the
most of the
time.
time. But no, I thought that would be their approach. I think it would be really clever if they
Yeah.
gave us like a head for someone else as well, and we can use it for morph or not. But yeah, but I think you're right in that it's going to be a regular, face like happy go lucky,
Yeah.
post sinister face with like their eyes, and then a character like maybe Archangel Magic that they had morphed into throughout the series.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. I was trying to think of, if there's anybody left that wore like the standard X training uniform that Morph
Yeah.
wears that they could
Yes.
also maybe knock out another figure that way. But who? You have
Yes.
someone
Yes.
clearly.
Yes. No, I know off the top of my head because I was thinking about this last night as we were going to bed. Sunspot. Sunspot
Oh
wears a standard training
yeah.
uniform at the end.
Yeah, it's true. So,
Yeah.
possibly. Are we gonna need to kit bash a Sunspot though?
Yeah, because the next one on our list is Sunspot. This character was also mentioned. Yeah. Listen, my only question for you is how are we going to get Sunspot? Is it going to be the training uniform? Is it going to be his yellow jacket? Or is it going to be a powered up version? I agree. It needs to be the yellow jacket. Listen,
Yeah.
it has to be, that's it. Yellow jacket.
I mean maybe it can come with like a powered up head and a powered up fists, but I definitely want it to be his like very fashionable tracksuit inspired look. I feel like that's probably where they'll go, just because that's been most of like the promo art and memorabilia released have been Sunspot wearing that look.
Yeah.
However, there was the trading card inspired art very early on that did have him powered up and sort of spoiled that he would eventually don the New Mutants costume. So I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get him in the standard costume, but I do think powered up or in his I keep wanting to say leisure suit. It's not that, but like he looks
It's
very comfortable.
his raving outfit.
As long is he going to come with like like a glow necklace? Like
Oh
I'm here
gosh,
for that.
he should come with a mutant collar if they want to give us a mutant collar. Because when you think of him in the series, it's that first image with
Yeah.
him and the mutant collar. I I think Sunspot. We love Guy, obviously the voice actor
Oh yeah.
behind Sunspot, but Sunspot has felt like a breakout star in the series. I again, a lot of it is because Guy's so charismatic and engaging with
Yep.
fans in the X-Men community, but also I think a welcome breath of fresh air on the show. He does need to have that yellow jacket. He's I would want him. I The only thing I would say about the yellow jacket, and this was going to be my question for Morph, is do we think it's toy kinetic enough that they would use their first looks in the series, or would they move towards the end of the series where he had that standard, training uniform, and Morph had a more Exiles inspired costume? Sorry, look at your eyes.
Now for years, that blue and yellow Exiles costume with the cape was on my
Yeah,
top 10 most
yeah,
wanted figures on the Fwoosh. It
yeah,
only got dropped because we got the AOA version, which
yeah.
is fine. That I love that Joe Mad look as well. So I would be thrilled thrilled if we got the morph from the last episode of the series.
Yeah, with like the
I would love
shoulder.
that.
I had to Google it really quickly, like the shoulder pads. I mean, I it's sort of like their costume they already have, minus the jacket with shoulder pads, and the belt is obviously. I mean, listen, it's not 100% the same, but listen, I don't know which ones they'll do. I again, because if they're going to be promoting, if this wave is going to come out presumably right around the time, because we're already getting towards X-Men 97 season 2, will they use the previous season looks, or would they use these new looks that we got at the end? We also know they are getting new looks for
Right,
season 2, as we've
right.
discussed. So I don't know. It's a question mark with Roberto. I am telling you 100% it needs to be that yellow orangey jacket. But
Yep.
are they going to go the route of the standard uniform? I could see it going either way. I prefer one, but I'm questioning where it's going to go.
I mean, from a cost perspective, of course, and a reuse perspective, which we know Hasbro loves to do, I could see it being the training uniform, but I would like to think that X-Men 97, the show, and they don't the figures don't peg warm. I would like to think that they're successful enough that they could do a more unique sculpt and look for Berto. That's just me crossing my fingers and hoping for. But, Hasbro could always cheap out on us, always.
Well, the next figure on this list, and this is going to finish the three that were talked about on that episode, is Jubilee. You have them all there.
I do. I'm not a huge Funko Pop fan, but
Yeah.
like it's literally Jubilee, Berto, and Morph with
Oh,
Storm,
yeah.
of course, Wolverine. So like I'm obsessed with it.
Did you get that at Target?
I got it in the Funko Collector Core box set that they sold on Amazon that had the Jean and the Rogue X-Men 97 pops in it as well when it was like $9. Like they must have
Oh.
ordered way too many. So, but yeah, I love this shirt because
You
it's got all the good ones on it.
you paid a whole $9 for that?
I paid a whole $9 for this shirt and two Funko Pops.
That's fair.
So God Queen
That's
was
fair.
on clearance.
I was quoting Romeo and Michelle. You paid a whole dollar for
Shit.
that?
Okay,
God.
fine. Sorry. When it's still early here in Texas.
I mean, listen, I'm like still early here. It's 10:30 for me, but okay. Jubilee is number 3 on this list.
I mean,
feels?
really no notes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Jubilee is absolutely necessary. This is when I do kind of hope that we get the costume from the end of the season. The
The
black
Curse of the Mutants.
Yeah, the Curse of
costume.
the Mutants. Because we have gotten it before. She was a Build-A-Figure for a very hard to find
The True
wave
Wave.
of X-Men figures. Yeah,
Yeah.
incredibly hard to find. So a lot of people don't have her, whereas she was single carded twice. She was in the VHS line and one of the X-Men lines, Legends.
Was it
lines.
Wendigo? I think it was Wendigo.
I think it might have been Wendigo.
I'm
I can
Googling
tell
this.
you very specific information about Marvel Legend waves 20 years ago, but like from the last few years, they all
Well, it's kind of a blur too. Yeah, it is a Wendigo wave. It's kind of a blur too because I don't even remember getting her. Oh no, she wasn't the Wendigo wave
was
because
it Caliban?
It may have been Caliban because Wendigo wave was Boom Boom, and because obviously she has
The bubblegum blowing
the bubblegum
Yes.
Caliban. I think it is Caliban.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking
it's
about
Caliban. It's
it.
Caliban.
Okay.
It's Caliban.
But so either way, she's been released in that look twice, and the other look is much harder to find. And I would love an update. And it wasn't a great figure. It wasn't really it wasn't true. Her costume wasn't wrong costume, not totally accurate. But it wasn't
Angry.
So I would say for me, I would rather have the Jubilee in the later costume with the zip up, because you know what? If they give us a Jubilee with a zip up torso, that could later be utilized for a Generation X Jubilee with a zip up torso. So
this is true. Also like. Well, first of all, I need them to solve the problem with her glasses. And I'm forgetting how the VHS figure was packed because I took her. I think she may be the one I have on display, by the way. But the Caliban Wave 1, her glasses like fell everywhere. I've lost them. I vacuum cleaned them up. You know what I mean? Like I need them to solve the issue with her glasses. I do feel that with the Jubilee Build-A-Figure wave, where she is in this Curse of the Mutants costume, they had it molded into her hair. I was not upset with that. I understand that's not for everyone.
So the VHS, the Caliban Wave, yes, she
see.
had two pairs of loose glasses, both like a classic style and a modern, but the VHS one did come with that Build-A-Figure head.
Oh, she did. I'm seeing it now. Yeah, that's exact. But I think I forgot that was the same face or head from the Jubilee wave, except they just redid it. I like that face quite a bit.
No, it was good. It was good. I actually
I completely blanked on that.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to fill in the blanks. I actually bought that Jubilee, the cell shaded one, and I have her sunglasses with the cool cell shading and the deco on them on the non-cell shaded figure. I don't like a cell shaded figure, but cell shaded sunglasses
Well, bitch,
look
because
great.
you traumatized me when we got Wolverine, and I was like, "Oh, this is such a great VHS Wolverine," and you're like, "I think Hammy may have been on the Zoom as well. I forget, but you were like, actually, it looks like he wet himself." Because of the cell shading was around the
Yep.
crotch for Wolverine. And
Yep.
every time I see that Wolverine figure, I'm like, oh my God, Logan pissed himself. Like, I just can't.
Sorry about that. I mean, listen, it's true. That's what he looked like. I never actually bought I did buy the X-Men 97 Logan, but I never did buy the I didn't
But
buy I didn't buy most of the cell shaded figures. I think I bought Storm and Jubilee and that was it.
I don't think their cell shading was aggressive with Jubilee, except, she does her glasses look a little bit more from the animated series.
Yeah.
I feel that like they got the notes. Hasbro got the notes and they eased off on the cell shading because it was aggressive for like Cyclops, Jean, and Wolverine, but Storm, I think the costume just worked better with some cell shading, but like later figures like Mystique, I don't think the cell shading was so egregious. Same with Sinister. I didn't think it was so bad that
Yeah.
it needed to be commented on. But I like the Jubilee body quite a bit for of the VHS wave.
Yeah, and I could see them for the sake of cheapness, we'll say, just re-releasing that body, possibly at least hopefully with a new head.
I can't believe we're talking about wanting the black suit, the Curse of the Mutants costume, because this costume came out in 2010
Hmm.
when the Twilight craze was happening. And this is Marvel's response to the Twilight craze was to make Jubilee a vampire. And it was so ill received from fans. I I'm like, why didn't they undo this sooner? She didn't get undone as a mutant until God Queen came, well, the Phoenix came and cleansed her in like Generation X Volume 2, if I remember
Yeah, it was
correctly.
Quentin Quire,
Yeah, Quentin
not
Quire.
Jean.
Well, I mean, is the Phoenix gene. But
Sure,
anyways,
sure, sure,
it's a manifestation of her will. But
sure, sure, sure.
but the Phoenix cleanses her, and I remember all of us were like, "Thank God they've dealt with that, and we can move on in life." And now here we are talking about how we want this costume,
Well,
and
the costume was never the problem, and she wore it for years
yeah, or a
afterwards,
long
even when
time.
she got her powers back. So,
Almost
like,
like 10 years. She was a vampire for a long time.
she was, and well, that's because she didn't have any other powers at that point. She was one of the mutants depowered on M Day, so it was the only way we were going to get Jubilee doing anything.
By the way, for Krakoa, when they did, I'm sorry, this is me not wanting to interrupt you, but wanting to interrupt you. Um, we ended Krakoa. They never really truly were able to help the mutants that were depowered only through the Crucible. They had to die and be resurrected. But what if you were a mutant who was depowered, did not do the Crucible, and now that Krakoa is done, presumably those mutants are still depowered and won't get repowered again because they never solved the X gene situation. You had to die and be in a cloned body in order to get your X gene back.
I mean, I get they should have let themselves die. Sorry, they didn't want
Yeah.
to be a mutant that bad.
Apocalypse was like, no. But um yeah, I hope for X-Men 97 we get a Halloween episode where she becomes a vampire and then it's resolved with it like how they did in her and Sunspot's one and done
Yeah.
episode. They go to Mojo World, they have their little misadventure, it's resolved at the end. Motendo, that was the name. I was like I couldn't remember the name. Um but I hope she becomes a vampire for just one episode. Her and Storm, Bloodstorm and Vampire Jubilee, one episode, one and done. I'm here for it. So
I would love that. I'm a big Marvel Dracula fan. Tomb of Dracula from the 70s is like honest to God, one of the best comics
it
Marvel has
is.
ever released.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I would love a Dracula episode as long as he looks like Dracula and not whatever this ridiculous modern Dracula that they are forcing on us now.
By the way, Dracula would also fit in because I just thought about this. Do you remember in the mid-aughts, we got a mini series of Apocalypse versus Dracula?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it fits in with the apocalypse theme that's already happening.
Do it. Make it happen. Make it happen.
Okay, so that was three figures that were discussed on this podcast. An actor accidentally mentioned them or not accidentally mentioned them, and we will take it with a grain of salt. Again, not shocking that we would be
Yeah.
getting more Jubilee and Sunspot. That's sort of a no duh, but it's nice that someone officially has confirmed that those figures are going
Yeah.
to be part of Wave 3. Again, let's take it with a grain of salt, but they specifically mentioned the next wave, they would be in those.
Yeah. And I think, Beast is probably a no-brainer for that as well, because he's the only member of the team left at this point that they haven't done.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
probably
fair.
two villains. I would probably pick Deathbird and Bastion, but who knows?
It
Who
it
knows?
would be
Speculation.
criminal if they yeah, this is just us speculating here, but it would be criminal if they don't do Deathbird. They have to do Milky Way Ghetto. Like that's it. She's an instant icon. Everyone wants her. Do Deathbird
Yes.
and Bastion. I agree. Bastion is a no duh.
Yeah, he's the
That
big bad of the season. They're not going to skip over the big bad of the season. But again, wild speculation. We know absolutely nothing. This is just us telling you what we want as usual.
So this next part of the list is part of a screenshot that people have taken and circulated. It was coupled with some Spider-Man figures, and I know those Spider-Man figures weren't 100% accurate, but again, this list has gotten a lot of traction. It would fit into a current vibe that's going on in the MCU, which is the revival of the X-Men.
Yep.
Obviously, we just had Deadpool and Wolverine. There's so many rumors again with Secret Wars. I don't want to get trapped in those rumors because we all thought Holly was going to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. Famke was going to be there, and they did not. But now that Disney has the film rights, maybe we can get some proper figures
Yeah.
on these characters. And by the way, these are the X-Men movie legacy figures according to this list.
Yeah. So the legacy X-Men movie characters that are on this list, no big surprise, would be Wolverine, Cyclops. Now, this one's interesting because they do say Phoenix, not Jean Grey,
Hmm.
Storm, Nightcrawler, and Beast.
Okay.
So these are all the
Hmm.
characters you would kind of expect to get. They're the A-listers. There could be some speculation about, Cyclops, Phoenix, Storm, Nightcrawler, and Beast, since multiple actors have played them. But for my part, I think this is going to be the original trilogy, Kelsey Grammer Beast, Queen Famke, James
Her
Marsden,
Majesty, Her Majesty,
Her Majesty,
Her
Her
Majesty.
Majesty.
I've never disrespected Halston Sage. How dare you?
Listen, I have.
I mean,
Not as much as she disrespected us.
I have literally said in like every episode, I'm like, Halston Sage's publicist says she was too busy. And I go on her IMDb and I'm like, with what, Halston Sage? With what?
Yeah, no, it's offensive. It's offensive. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping for OG trilogy figures here, just because I want an Alan Cumming Nightcrawler. I would kill for an Alan Cumming Nightcrawler.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
we have to get him. I usually I don't buy movie figures, but I think I even told you, like, oh, I don't buy movie figures. I don't care about this. But the more that I've like sat with it over the last like week to 10 days, I've been like, I'm gonna buy all of these bitches.
I same here because like I also think like it's well, you know what? I'm gonna wait to see how they are because again, I don't buy movie figures at all either. I did buy the Deadpool and Wolverine one just because of the hype, but okay, let's break this down. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be the original trilogy actors because these are the legacy. No disrespect to the prequels. I think there's some pros and cons to the actors who have been casted, but I
Pros and cons.
largely, X-Men Legacy, I think is pretty straightforward. We're going to get
Yeah.
that. Leather costumes, which, you know, again, because we had to discuss everything with like Morrison recently, it's so wild to me that people really do dislike these costumes. They dislike that leathery, but it was a different time, you
Yeah.
know. And by the way, do you remember? This just occurred to me. People were obsessed with leather in the early aughts because do you remember the Gap commercials with Depeche Mode where it's like,
I just can't get enough.
I love those,
It was
like
a
all the
trend.
models there. I was obsessed with, but leather was really big, and at the time, this was seen as grounding the characters in the real world because we are coming off the heels of Batman and Robin, and
Yeah,
you and I love Batman and Robin. It's
love
not a
it.
jab at it, but that was a mindset of the industry at the time. So that's why they had to have those leather costumes. So it has to be that original era, that original trilogy of them in those leather suits. Wolverine, I think he's going to get the X3 one where
Probably.
it's like with a big X on it. And it's like, I think that was the X2 one as well. But I think that's for sure we're going to get Hugh Jackman in that leather costume with that X there. I can't remember. Hasbro hasn't done one in his leather costume, right?
I don't think so. I think they've only done like Logan. Again, I don't
Yeah.
buy movie figures, so I don't know. So they've
Days of
only
Future Past, and because the 2-pack with Magneto and then the shirt, not I was gonna say shirtless. The I know. I'm so whap for Hugh Jackman following that Act 3.
I mean, listen, they Hot Toys is making a version of that I can't say isn't tempting.
When they're like oiled Hugh Jackman up. But
Yeah.
he's wearing he has a beater. And so I don't think they did. I was Googling this before I went to bed. I don't think they've done a leather
Mm.
costume Wolverine
No.
for from Hasbro.
No, if they had, I would see it every day on my coworker Lacey's desk. She's obsessed with Hugh Jackman. She has Hugh Jackman all over all the Hugh Jackman figures on her desk, and I don't. No, so it doesn't exist. I, for me, okay, for me, the Cyclops definitely. I want it to be X2 with the trench coat.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, that's so chic.
It has
Yes.
to be that. It has to be that. Storm, I think we need two heads so we can have
Yes.
both bad wigs.
Well, no,
All of them.
technically three. Technically three. We need all three. I would prefer, if I had to, it would be the X2 with the
Yeah.
low lights. When her and Jean both went to the salon and they both got their hair cut short.
Somebody, I can't remember who, actually pointed out to me recently how close Storm in X2 is to what Jim Lee did. Like it has the side swept bangs and the layers and the
Hmm.
whatnot. And like when I actually looked at two pictures side by side, I was like, oh, okay, I can see that maybe they were actually trying to, rather than, stealing Finola's White Queen wig from the Generation X TV movie as they did for the first one. I mean, the X3 one, if we're talking like wig quality, that was probably the
Oh,
best quality wig, but Storm doesn't have roots, okay? Storm
yeah.
does not have roots.
Storm's hair is always a source of discussion when the character gets adapted, or even in the comics when they change the look. People are really invested in Storm's hair. I had to pick; it would be X2. I think that she looked
Yeah.
her best in X2. I thought she looked incredible with the hair, and I never put together that it was modeled off of what Jim Lee was doing. It makes perfect sense. But where did
Yeah.
Jean come from? Where did Jean's hair come from? Because Jean, like, you can make a case of the Ultimate Universe, she had shorter hair, but it was like Pixie and not like Willow from Buffy. The haircut was very trendy
I was gonna say that
back then,
was
though.
it's
I think
very
we all had,
2002.
yeah. That's very 2002 hair, like that. But I would want Storm and X2. I'm going to give you a hot take here. For Phoenix, for Famke, I would want end of I was going to say season 2, end of X2 with like a glow up eyes or something like that with the short hair. And again, I didn't like the short hair. I prefer the longer hair, but I would rather have her in that black costume, alternate
Yes.
Jean head with the ponytail,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
short hair with the eyes fired up.
I was gonna say, yeah, I really it would for me, I would want both the ponytail and the short pixie, fired up or not. I would love to have that style just because it's such a moment in time,
It
that
is.
hairstyle. And I loved it. Like Famke Jean is easily, I would say, probably my favorite iteration of Jean. I'm sorry,
Good.
Queen Famke,
No, you
whatever.
keep getting it wrong. Her Majesty. Her Majesty
Her
Famke
Majesty
Johnson.
Famke. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a bad, subject in the Famke kingdom. Uh,
That's fine. That's fair. But here's the thing: because she's wearing an X2, she wears the black suit, and it's the same one when they pick up an X3, and she has the longer hair. They could give us a longer hair Famke as well. I mean, that I don't want to rob them of that.
sure.
So, but wait, can I give you a hot take? Do you know what
You're
they
you're
could
full of
do?
them.
They could do a Marvel's famous couple, Famke and James. James with the trench coat and Jean with her trench coat that has the phoenix on the back of it when they went to go rescue Nightcrawler.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down. I'm totally down for that. I'm down for honestly whatever black leather version of Jean they want to give us. I'm down for. What I am concerned about is the list specifically refers to her as Phoenix, so I'm
Yeah,
a little worried we're going to get her in that hideous
it
red
is.
Phoenix trench coat look that we already have a hideous Marvel Legends figure of.
Oh, I don't think it would be an issue of how the figure is done via Hasbro. I just think that red dress, trench coat, whatever it was, is disgusting.
Yes.
Maybe disgusting is not the right word, but
No, it
disappointing.
is.
Disappointing. And Famke looked great in it, but she equally looks amazing in the black leather. And I don't think anyone really wants to see a resurgence of that. But we'll see
No.
where that goes. But for me, the one I would be most excited about would be a Storm with the X2 hair. That's the Storm. I think she looked her best. She was on her A game. You know, we know things have come out with Holly Berry since then that she was lied to and they had given her a false script so she can
Yeah.
sign on to X3. I think X2 was a really good version of that character.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think in order to get like the perfect version of Storm, I think you would need to combine X2 and X3 because in X2, she did the cool scene where she activated the tornadoes and took
Oh
out,
yeah.
the jets, but then she didn't fly
Yeah.
until X3. So I think
Yeah.
between those two, iterations of Storm, we have like a really lovely live action Storm. But again, I agree. It needs to be the X2 hair. If we only get one, I'm totally down for, swappable heads with Storm. But non-negotiable, I need it to be Alan Cumming Nightcrawler. That is absolutely
Mhm.
non-negotiable, and I need it to be Kelsey Grammer Beast. Both of
Yeah.
those are non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, I really don't think Nicholas Holt's Beast, even though I liked him quite a bit in X1, I thought the looked really good. I just think if you're doing Legacy, it has to be Beast, Kelsey Grammer in that astonishing X-Men inspired, suit. Not
Oh
that
yeah.
I mean it was I'm saying inspired in that it was a bit more of a wrestling, like he can go like that better. Obviously astonishing suit's very different, but I would do, yeah, I think Kelsey Grammer 100%. We've gotten that figure.
We have.
Blink, we have gotten that figure before in Marvel Legends as part of the Blob wave. And I have Blob, so that means I have Kelsey Grammer Beast somewhere.
Yeah, I have him somewhere too. And of course, the Jean in her hideous red outfit was also a part of that wave. So that means I've got her somewhere as well. But we need an update to that Kelsey Grammer. It wasn't a horror, if I remember correctly, it wasn't for those early days of Hasbro, it wasn't like the worst figure
No, the
we could
Famke
have.
one was, but the Beast one
Famke one was
wasn't.
bad, but the
Yeah,
Colossus and the Beast were not terrible. Oh, Colossus was in the Brood Queen wave, but either
yeah,
way, they
yeah.
weren't as bad as the Famke one. But yeah, we definitely need an update. I don't think we're gonna get Kelsey Grammer from the Marvels in this.
Oh,
In this,
no,
it would
I
be
agree.
nice because he looks amazing. I think yeah, it has to be X3 with his side swept bangs. Yeah, it has to be.
I was Googling right now the figure, and a video came up called Marvel Legends X3 Beast Confessions of an eBay Alcoholic. And I got really excited. I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this. But do you know who posted this video? Glenn Webb, who used to be one of the original Marvel Legends YouTubers who
Yeah.
passed away. And I loved Glenn Webb's channel so much. And I was talking about it with Dan Hu years ago because I thought Dan Hu sort of picked up that UK, representation in Legends collectors. I love Glenn Webb so much, and now once we're done here, I'm gonna listen to this. I probably listened to it like 10 years ago, but
I'm sure you did.
shout out to Glenn Webb because Glenn Webb was one of those eBay, or excuse me, one of those Marvel Legends YouTubers that I was just the second I got the notification he posted a story, I was there. I
Yeah.
loved it, and he was a big Gene fan too. He used to go Gene like that, Very lovely. But Nightcrawler, yes, I want Nightcrawler as well. I'm forgetting his original figure that came out as a movie Time Waves. Did it come with a stained glass window? Am I
Yes.
making that up? Okay, because
No,
I
he
think
did.
the Marvel Select Daredevil did as well, right?
The
Or
Marvel Legends, yeah,
Marvel,
Marvel Legends.
one
Was
of the
it?
one of the Daredevils. I think it was the movie tie-in Daredevil. I'm gonna
It was
Google
the
this.
Marvel Legends Wave 4 Dare movie Daredevil that
Oh,
came with that. But I did Nightcrawler?
let me
Maybe I'm
see.
just thinking
Wait,
that
but I
I
can't
put
believe
mine on that.
we live in a world where there was a movie Ben Affleck Daredevil, and no one talks about that enough.
Listen, I was gonna circle back when we were done talking about X-Men to be like, are we gonna get
Yes, he did come with a stained glass window. He did. I'm
okay,
looking at the
okay.
packaging right now. Or I don't know if it's a stained glass, but he comes with an accessory.
Right.
He comes with a bendy wall that is mountable, and it looks like a stained glass window.
Okay.
No, whether it
So
is or not, the internet can decide.
I'm looking. I'm looking.
You
I'm
got
looking.
to. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a stained glass window.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I was
I
wrong. Yeah.
that was a great figure, by the way. I
It
still have that
was.
figure somewhere. It
It's
looks
going to
it
be. I don't know. It's going to be hard to top that one. Although I'm sure they could. Oh yeah,
they
they could. They could top him. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
could.
Yeah. Yeah. I just zoomed
But
in on it.
I'm excited to see what they come up with in this series because you know where I'm going with this. If we're getting Legacy X-Men, can we get a Legacy Jennifer Garner Elektra?
Oh, listen. Okay, Ryan Ting said it in the Hasbro panel that they went to the movies the night before, because Deadpool and Wolverine came out
Yeah,
that weekend. He
yeah.
goes, and now production has begun on those because we didn't even know they were in the movie, and now we're gonna start getting these figures out. Listen, I think, okay. Here's the thing. I'm curious how communication is given to Hasbro on what could be coming up in the movies. But I think what has happened, because we've seen leaks happen via toys before, that they probably are waiting so far out to do these figures just in case a movie gets delayed or anything. And that way it doesn't spoil anything. So,
Yeah.
I think they probably are really moving forward now with the Jennifer Garner, Wesley Snipes, Chris Evans. As we're getting for sure getting Chris Evans, we're for sure going to get Channing Tatum. I find it highly unlikely they're not going to do Jennifer Garner.
They
Jennifer
have
Garner has to come. She
they
has to
have to.
come.
I will if we have Jennifer Garner in another Marvel movie and don't get an action figure of her, I'm literally gonna riot. And I just realized, okay, I'm recording in my living room because the Wi-Fi service in my room is terrible. So I have just like a makeshift setup here. My microphone is literally sitting on a Daredevil like lunchbox from 2002 with Jennifer Garner's lovely face on it. So
I mean, that
this
is
is
a
me
lovely face.
manifesting. This is me manifesting a Jennifer Garner Marvel Legends. I'm so sorry to hijack our X-Men conversation to once again ramble on about Jennifer Garner,
You
but
need to give her a
Jennifer Garner.
moniker. She is basically what Famke Johnson is to me. So you have to give her a moniker.
I mean, our Lord
Think
and
about it.
Savior Jennifer Garner.
I mean, she did save us. She saved us all.
I just she's my number one. She's my favorite actor of all time. Alias, Elektra, now Deadpool and Wolverine. I just 13 going on 30. The range.
We interviewed Lynn Collins a couple months ago, who was Silver Fox in Wolverine
Yeah,
Origins.
yeah.
And when I was doing the research on her and putting my notes together, I forgot she was on 13 going on 30.
Oh, she
Yeah,
was.
she played
Yeah,
the
yeah,
girlfriend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All roads lead back to our Lord and Savior, Jennifer Garner. See how I got that right? See how I got that
yeah. I
right?
already forgot Her Majesty Famke.
Her
Like, is that
Majesty, Her Majesty. Think of it like if you're talking to the Queen, you're not going to call the Queen to her face. You're going to call her Your Majesty.
Her Majesty Famke and our Lord and Savior Jennifer
Jennifer
Garner?
Garner. All right, so there we go, familia. Second half of this list is something that's circulating online based off of a screenshot. It's movie Holly Berry, movie Holly Berry, movie Storm movie Cyclops, movie Wolverine, movie Beast, movie Phoenix, and movie Nightcrawler. And then the X-Men 97 Wave 3 discussed on a podcast. Actor said this. It hasn't really been circulated, but it is in this episode of that podcast. It's Sunspot, Jubilee, and Morph. Not just taking these figures and assuming they're correct. Not big curveballs. No, it's
No.
figures we could expect out there, one day.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm happy with it because this is like, I would buy all of these figures. I would buy every single figure that we have just discussed. I would buy, which is not always a guarantee unless there's a bath that I like in the wave. So I'm hopeful. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes from all of these rumors.
All right, Familia, drop your feels on the comments below. Hit us up on Instagram I'm at Power of X-Men.
And I'm at Flinkman.
I'm at Power of X-Men. I'm like, I'm at. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
Is this a Star Wars podcast all of a sudden? You're at.
And we will catch you guys later.
See ya.